What was the worst thing that you did / said while being angry? My mother's ex-husband and I had a really volatile relationship. He was mentally and emotionally abusive and my mom was an alcoholic. There was one day where things got extremely bad. Both my mom and her ex-husband were drinking. All I did was walk in the door and that's when it all started. I was told I had no friends. I was told my family didn't care about me and that if I disappear it would be a good break because I was disappointing. I was told that they wished I was dead. I kept trying to tell them to leave me alone. I tried hiding in my room too, but they followed me. I at one point finally became so enraged at them, I flipped my bed over, not just the mattress, I'm talking bed frame and all, because I kept a knife under my bed and then chased them out with a knife and told them I would kill them and not to go to sleep. Yeah, that was fun to explain to the cops. I punched a wall when I caught my ex cheating on me. Now I have to live with this weird bump on my right hand. Probably a curled up tissue or cartilage of some sort. I drew my friend burning in lava with the devil hanging out next to him. I was 9. I got expelled from after school care. Seriously, please like and subscribe and comment something nice for your favorite Reddit slave. So this one, in my opinion, was a total accident but no one believes me. When my brother was like 3 or 4 he kept rolling this stupid brick around, hitting me with it on the foot and ankles. He was pretending to be a dog or something. Anyway, I got mad after him doing it a couple times and grabbed the brick. Since I was mad I went to throw it down. I picked it up, turned 90 degrees to the right and wailed this brick to the ground as hard as my 7-year-old arms would let me. I did not know he crawled around because he was still pretending to be a dog, and I cracked him in the head with it. I knew I was in big trouble because my parents did not beat me for it. It took like 10 stitches on the back of his head to fix it. In middle school one of my classmates was permanently in a wheelchair. He was also a bit of a bully. He was making fun of me and a friend, and in the middle of it I said, "Come on, friend. Let's go find some stairs." I still cringe pretty hard about that. I punched my car door once when my brother would not open it for me. Immediately regretted it once I saw the dent. Also cost me a couple hundred to get that dent fixed. So not as bad as some. But when I was a kid I wanted a hard-boiled egg one afternoon and my mom said no. I asked why and she just said no. I got upset and went to my room. When she went to take a shower or whatever I had a brilliant idea of making my desired egg treat with speed and stealth. I took a coffee mug, filled it with water, dropped the egg in, and stuck it in the microwave. I forget how long I set it for, but it was long enough for my mom to come back out to the sound of something cooking in the microwave. She asked me to come to the kitchen, which I shamefully did in defeat. Just as she begins to ask me what I'm cooking, the microwave starts to beep. On the third beep there was this very loud but muffled thump from the microwave. The egg had exploded. The cup had exploded. The microwave was ruined. This wouldn't have been so bad had my family had enough money to replace a microwave and I hadn't wasted eggs. I told my mom to go fuck herself at an Old Navy while a young boy with his mom was holding the door for us. Had a tantrum. Threw a coffee pot. Over nothing that big. I was awful. As I know my husband will read this, I humbly apologize for being such a bitch last summer. This is relatively low stakes, but I still feel terrible about it. When I was a kid, 12 plus, my sister and I were home alone together frequently because both of our parents worked and I was old enough to babysit. We lived in a house that was too small for all 4 of us, in a bad neighborhood, and it was a permanently dirty old house that was falling apart. So background stress levels were high. Just to set the tone, my sister went to a friend's house to play across the street. Meanwhile, I couldn't find my gem doll that I'd got from a friend online and was looking everywhere for it. They don't make gem anymore, so it was a very important doll for me. While I'm looking, my sister comes home and timidly asks for me. Strawberry R? Question mark? What? So you know how I went over to neighbor's house to play? Yeah? Her dad got mad at us and ripped the head off of the doll to punish her, but actually it was the one I brought over and I think it was your doll. So naturally I lost my mind and tore into her. I was furious. Not only was that my doll, but it was rare and out of print and already older than either of us. So how dare she steal it from my room and play with it and get it broken? Question mark? I yelled at her so loud and hard I went hoarse, and she crumbled into tears. I demanded she give me my doll back and not talk to me until mom and dad got home. She collapsed onto her bed and sobbed, and I took the doll back into my room. I looked at it, and it was a grungy old Barbie doll. I felt so guilty for screaming at my sister, and hearing her sob through the walls made me feel like a monster. I'd ripped her a new one over nothing. An old raggedy Barbie with missing hair and chewed up feet. My gem doll was somewhere in my room. She'd never taken it. Close bracket. Eventually I came out of my room and apologized to her. I explained why I was so mad and what I had incorrectly assumed. And I told her that it wasn't her fault. The neighbor girl's dad was a crazy asshole. He later apologized to her and his daughter too. But that made me feel just as bad as he was. It's been over a decade since that happened, and my sister and I have both moved on and have a great sibling relationship. But I still feel so horrible about how I treated her when I was a teenager. I wish I had been more level-headed. I'm gonna fly kick your mum down a flight of stairs. My brother was in middle school, and he biked there every day. I told him that I hoped he got run over. He was hit by a car that very morning and had to be revived 12 times that day. Nobody expected him to live. I've never gotten over what I said. I chucked a My Little Pony at my sister's head and hit her smack in the middle with a unicorn horn. This was because she would not let me play as Rarity. I trashed my house after the doctors told me my mother was dying. I scared the shit out of my brother and my nephew. I'm not really prone to fits of rage or an angry person. I told my mom I hated her. I was a kid. I absolutely forgive myself for having done it. I've had my own kids do the same thing to me when they didn't get their way. It happens. Kids don't understand. But I know it hurt my mom and that hurt is still with her today. And I certainly regret it. She did nothing to deserve me saying that. When I was 3 years old I got into a fight with my grandma. Nobody remembers what it was about anymore. But apparently it ended with me telling her to call me when she dies, so I could come visit granddad. She says she never laughed so hard in her life before. Still, I can't help it, but feel kind of bad each time she mentions it. Through a $3,000 engagement ring that we never found. I told my little brother that no one loved him and to just leave me alone. He died a couple weeks later in a car crash, and I never had the balls to apologize. Not that I even deserve to be forgiven. I miss you, Luke. My dad was a loving father and I loved him with all my heart. He was like my best friend and there was no thing I could not tell him. But he was an alcoholic. Sometimes things got really bad, and he was a mess and I tried to help him to get better. There was also times when he didn't drink, but that time he was drinking a lot and had couple seizures. I was so worried about him and stayed at his place almost every night for a year. When I was not there I always slept with my phone so he could call me if something was wrong. I was only 19 years old at the time, and one day I was so tired to take care of him that I said sometimes I wished he was dead so I can start living my own life. After I said it, I felt so bad, and I did not mean it. I loved him so much. Only 2 days later he was found dead at his house. He had a seizure because he had taken alcohol and some pills. That was the worst thing I have ever said, and I wish I never said it. Sorry, my bad English. I threw a rock at the ground, and it bounced into my friend's hand, breaking his pinky finger. Total accident and I felt like an idiot. When I was very young, I would occasionally hit someone when I was angry. The very last time this happened was in 6th grade. My best friend and I got into a little fight. Idea what about? But I assure you it was dumb, and I hit her as hard as I could on the arm. The look on her face is what snapped me back. She looked as if she had never been hit by anyone ever, and was obviously very hurt both physically and emotionally. I felt immediate guilt, and I swore then and there to never do it again, and to be in better control of my emotions. Glad I learned that lesson early. screaming at my little sister for over an hour for something that I messed up. I still feel incredibly bad every time I think about it. She had a hard time back then, and I acted like such a fucking asshole. Edit. Thank you for all the replies and advices. I will apologize. I was mean to her more than once. Buried all of that deep inside me, and now it all comes up again. Reading what some of you wrote. Won't imagine how she must feel when she remembers. I'm somehow afraid. But I will. Right now I'm thinking about how she doesn't live here anymore. And sorry if my English is bad. Close bracket. Edit 2. I did it. Via text message. Maybe not the best way, but if she wants to talk about it, she now knows that she can. I wrote her that I remembered some situations in our childhood. That I realized that something was really wrong with me, and even if it's a little bit late, that I want to apologize for being such an ashala child and ashala teenager sometimes. I'm curious how she will react. I sent an 3-page, single-spaced letter to my aunt telling her that her entire side of the family were assholes and I would have nothing more to do with them. When I'm playing video games and get mad and want to smash my keyboard, I jump out of my chair and do some sort of Irish jig or something. I don't know what to call it, lol, to get all that motion out of me, and then sit back down and everything is normal again. And X200B. TL. Doctor, if you are angry, dance like you're Irish. It's not something that I did, but something I came close to doing. That snapped me out of my rationalizing of a relationship and lingers as a warning forever in the back of my brain. I was in a very unhealthy, borderline abusive relationship for 2 years with a woman who controlled me, isolated me from friends, etc. We argued constantly. And one night, after what felt like weeks of arguing, we were screaming at each other again, while I held a heavy drinking glass with water in it in my hand. I was overcome with fury. And in that moment I came so close to just chucking the glass at the ground to shatter it, or at her to hit her. I just wanted to let my anger show, or prove a point. Something. IDK. At the last moment I stopped myself. I've never hit or thrown anything during a fight, but that was my watershed moment. Because I knew, if I did I could never take it back. Could never unshatter the glass or unhurt her. We ended the relationship shortly after. But I try to keep that moment in mind in general. Words can't be unsaid, and glass can't be unshattered. No anger is worth that much hurt.